everyone, and welcome to another edition of our Heart for PCOS campaign and interviews. Today we have a very special guest with us, Erika Volk PCOS Personal Trainer. So excited to have you here with us. I would love you to tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your journey and how you got involved in becoming a personal trainer for PCOS.
Well, thank you, Ashley, for inviting me on for this awesome campaign. I'm always a fan of everything that you're doing for our community, and I'm pleased to be here. I am a PCOS patient and a personal trainer and nutrition coach. I was diagnosed with PCOS in 2005. And at that time, like a lot of other people, they said, you might want to lose weight and go on a diet, and here's some birth control pills, and come back and we'll talk about fertility when that's your issue. And I will say that I think that my doctor did the very best she could by me. Those were the tools that were available to her, but it left a lot to the imagination. And I had always been a fitness nerd. So I went back to what I knew that had helped me before and just making my life better. And I went back to the gym and I started looking for research and information on how I could improve my symptoms through physical fitness and through exercise. And that eventually led to me becoming a certified personal trainer. And then from there, going on to being a nutrition coach and doing advanced internships in nutrition coaching, and eventually leaving and selling my traditional personal training business in Los Angeles, leaving that all behind in 2014 to exclusively work with the PCOS population online. So I'm coming up on a decade of only working with the PCOS population, which makes me feel really grateful and a little bit old. I'll take it.
That's awesome. And don't worry, you will never be as old as me. I've been doing this now for 23 years, so I get it. I get it. One thing that you had mentioned is when you initially went to your doctor, the focus was really on kind of infertility and weight. But now, and especially someone who's been doing this for a decade, we're realizing that PCOS is a lot more, and there are a lot of consequences that come with it if we're not realizing that there are cardiometabolic features that can lead to conditions like diabetes, like heart disease, like stroke, which is why we're here today. So why is it important, do you think, that we kind of move that shift and that conversation away from infertility and start recognizing the cardiometabolic features of PCOS?
Well, because it's your heart. If it's not beating, you can't start a family. You can't do any of the things you want to do, whether or not fertility is an issue for you. And I don't want to make the infertility struggle that some of you are experiencing small. That's not at all what Ashley and I are saying right here. But you need your heart for everything. And especially when we put this emphasis on, let's just get you to that first pregnancy, or let's just get the weight off, and then the PCOS puzzle is finished, that is problematic for a couple of reasons. But the first one is, especially with weight loss, a lot of the stuff that a PCOS patient might be doing that's really benefiting their cardiometabolic health, they could already be having those positive changes and not lose a pound. And instead of continuing to do those things and reap those awesome benefits that are going to save and extend and improve the quality of their life, they're quitting because the scale's not moving at this bizarre benchmark that we have of 2 pounds per week. So therefore, what I'm doing must not be working. And so you just get in this cycle of trying and giving up, which is bad psychologically and physically, and you never maintain these cardio benefits.
Right. So that's really important, is something that you can do that is sustainable. And we're also starting to recognize that lifestyle management is one of the cornerstones of improving our health. Like you said, not necessarily for weight loss, but our circulation, our heart beating, even our reproductive health can benefit from all of these things that we do. So if somebody is starting their journey in lifestyle management and they want to start incorporating exercise, what are some steps that they can take to kind of figure out what may work for them or what may benefit them?
Well, I think the first thing to do is just like what I did is go back to the kinds of movements you love and see if you can reincorporate them into your life. There are there's a lot of stuff in the PCOS fitness world that is misleading. A lot of concerns about things like there's some way you can over exercise, and we can talk about that. That there's certain types of exercise that will somehow do bad things for your PCOS, or that there's only one type of exercise that will fix PCOS. And I think that all of those things create unnecessary barriers when the first and most important thing to you continuing to move on a regular basis is finding something that I like to say you like, or at least don't hate. That's the most important first step.
Right. So you can do something as simple as like walking to get started and can benefit from walking. But also, if you want something more challenging, like doing HIIT wouldn't be off limits, right? So, or you might benefit from doing a combination of things.
Yes, I advocate for a combination of different modalities. I think that's where you're going to get the most benefit. But let's first start off with what you said. If all you're prepared to do is walk, that's great. I mean, I just read a 12-week study where all they did was walk, and it improved their and these were PCOS patients. They improved their cardiometabolic features significantly in just 12 weeks of just walking. And then you mentioned HIIT. So there's quite a bit of research out there saying that high intensity interval training, which we can talk about exactly what that looks like, or higher intensity cardio in general, is great for lowering your risk of insulin resistance, which is something all of us should be concerned about regardless of our size and what our blood tests are saying right now, because insulin resistance leads to diabetes and heart disease. And that higher intensity, high interval training has also been shown to help shrink your waist circumference, which is also a risk factor for cardiometabolic disease.
There are a lot of benefits to that. And I think you're right that a lot of people do get hung up on reading a lot of misinformation about exercise. And I hear a lot of people asking about cortisol levels or the insulin. So how much of a factor is that when you're designing an exercise program for someone? I mean, how much attention do we need to pay to things like cortisol and insulin, and how does that impact how someone might exercise?
This whole relationship between exercise and cortisol, it's a little bit murky, and so what you first need to say is that I'll say with everything, and I'm just going to say it once, and then you need to pay attention to your individual results. You need to do something for a sustained period of time, so like probably 3 months of consistent whatever you're doing, and you need to document your results. So that can not just weight loss, maybe it's cholesterol blood tests, maybe it's just writing every day on a scale of 1 to 10, how tired am I? How hungry am I when I should be hungry or shouldn't be hungry? What are my cravings like, or my moods? The ones that mean the most to you, and start making your own experiment with, n equals 1, just you.
Right. No, that's so important, because you do see that a lot in the PCOS community, that one person will find something that works for them, and then everybody kind of just jumps on it because there's such a need for us to kind of understand what PCOS is. And until now, we really haven't had that information. We still don't know what the cause is. There's still no cure for it. So we're still kind of figuring it out. Going on with this theme of talking about like insulin and cortisol, with heart health, are there certain exercises that are better than others? I know with PCOS, we're talking about sustainability, but when we're talking specifically about our heart, should we be incorporating a certain type of exercise?
So I think that just for general health and for hormonal health and for cardiovascular health, which instantly they all come together, they're all kind of the same thing, right? The body is a very intertwined system. It's good to have a blend of what I qualify as 3 types of exercise. So cardio exercise, what we can traditionally consider cardio exercise, raises your heart rate and makes it hard for you to sustain a conversation. And that can be done all different kinds of ways, from running, which is not bad for PCOS, if you're not having an unhealthy relationship with running, to walking, to dance cardio, to interval training, cardio machines. And within cardio, there's sort of like this, you could do moderate intensity cardio, which is like, you might be able to chit chat a little bit. You know, it's probably like your 5 to 6 out of 10, if 10 is running from a serial killer and 1 is sitting on your couch. And then there's high intensity training, which could either be interval training, like HIIT is the one you hear about a lot, or sprinting. And that's more like at the 6, 7, 8, 9 area, depending on your level of comfort. There is a significant amount of research to say that doing some exercise at that higher level of intensity, whether it's HIIT or just steady state at maybe over 60% of your perceived exertion or your 60% of your maximum heart rate, has unique benefits for the PCOS population when it comes to cardiometabolic health. It is so far in a research of all the different modalities, it's the most effective at reducing insulin resistance. And that is kind of like the underpinning problem that kind of leads to your cardiometabolic features in PCOS and other reproductive and hormonal features. So I like to say incorporate a blend of both. The lower intensity, which can be restorative and recovering, like a moderate walk, could be a great sort of low intensity day to help your body recover. And then also have this other aspect of your exercise where you have some higher intensity cardio so you can get those benefits. And that higher intensity cardio is generally best done in short bursts of time, not really long bursts of time. And then the third feature is strength training, and that's that can be dumbbells, some types of Pilates and body weight training, something to make your muscle tissue grow, because that is the most effective way at reducing androgens when you have PCOS. And it's also very effective at preventing diabetes. It's traditionally recommended to anyone who has metabolic syndrome. So we're already at risk for that. Let's go ahead and add that into our program. So to recap, that was a lot of information. I like to see a mix of lower intensity, gentle cardio and yoga, and then some higher intensity cardio during your week and some strength training during your week. And really, you can play around with how much you want to do of all 3 of those based off your preferences and goals. But it does seem like that the sweet spot is accumulating about 2 hours a week of higher intensity exercise. So that's a blend of strength training and the more difficult cardio.
I love that. So let's talk a little bit more about muscles, because that's I feel a topic that comes up a lot with the PCOS community. Number one, a lot of times we're told because we have androgen excess or higher levels of testosterone that we can build muscle a lot faster, which that may be the case, but it also causes a lot of anxiety with people because they're like, oh my gosh, I have testosterone, so I'm going to really bulk up if I start exercising. That's number one. And the second part of that is that I don't think people really understand the mechanism of muscles, which you kind of dove into a little bit, and how that like processes insulin and androgen. So tell us more about the muscles and why they're actually our friends and shouldn't be feared when we're working out.
Oh, I could go on for days, but okay. So let's start with the science of why muscles help with insulin resistance. So the number one consumer of glucose in your body is your skeletal muscle. The more you have of it, obviously, the more of that glucose from your food you're going to absorb and process. Also, every time you strength train and you grow muscles, you increase your number of insulin receptor sites. So this is like the lock, would you say? And insulin is the key. So your insulin comes in, enters your cell, and unlocks all of this metabolic power, right? So we want our insulin to go into our muscles, because if we have too much high insulin circulating around in our bloodstream, one of the things it does is it aggravates the heck out of our ovaries, cause cysts, cause hyperandrogenism. If you want to really aggravate your ovaries and get more androgens, try losing muscle, not gaining muscle. And then there's also been some research, and it's new, that says that when you strength train, you fundamentally change the way your PCOS genes express themselves in your body, which is really cool. And I would also contend that PCOS sometimes is like a superpower. If you have a little bit more testosterone like me, and you're going to be able to grow muscle a little bit faster than the gym, than the gal next to you, why wouldn't you lean into that? Muscle raises your metabolic rate and reduces your risk for insulin resistance, just like I explained. So having a little bit more muscle is, and being able to get it easier than the person next to you, is a fantastic thing. It's not a bad thing at all.
I love it. No, this is great information. I think it's going to, benefit a lot of people because again, we're just told, oh, muscle not good with PCOS, and it's actually the opposite. It's the best thing that you can do, and your heart is also a muscle. So when we're exercising and we're building the strength, that also is helping our heart and strengthening our heart as well.
Building muscle does not raise your androgens. It does not. Anyone that says that is going against the research. And the moment the research changes and tells me I'm wrong, I will tell you, because I'm not afraid to say when I said something wrong. But right now, any blog that tells you that building muscle is going to make you have more testosterone in your body, they're telling you the exact opposite of what the medical research says. So you know to scroll past that. That person is not paying attention to the science, and that matters. Science can change, but it shouldn't be ignored.
No, absolutely. Thank you for saying that, because, not only as a provider, but as a patient, that there is so much misinformation that's out there, and it's kind of hard to kind of weave through that sometimes and figure out where we should be or what we should be listening to. But yes, always fact-based, science-based, science-backed, people who do the research, follow them. Like Erika, she knows her stuff and she's been doing it for a long time. So Erika, lifestyle management in general, when we're talking about heart health, what are the things that we should tune into, or as you say, lean into, and not be afraid to explore, because they could potentially save our health and save our hearts?
Well, there's strength training, the higher intensity interval training, of course, just like what we talked about, but also rest and recovery. So after you work out is when your body changes. So too much of a good thing is a bad thing, you know? So, I'd like to say, if you strength train, you need to give yourself 24 hours of recovery. Now, that does not mean you can't move at all. You could take a walk, you could do some yoga, moderate intensity exercise is okay on that day, but give yourself the 24 hours between a strength training session or a really intense cardio session to do some revitalizing, restorative type of movement. I think that from a psychological standpoint, you are better off moving every day, no matter what, for your mood, and also just for habit building. If every day you move, I promise you, it'll start feeling like brushing your teeth or taking a shower before you go to work. You'll be like, oh, something feels weird. Oh, I haven't really moved today. And I can't tell you how many people have been like, sit out of gym class, never into exercise types of people, and they buy into this with me, just a little bit of movement every day, and it does become habitual. And just a little side note about me, I'm not an athlete. I did sit out of gym class most of middle school. I got a C in college gym because I just didn't want to go. But I've always loved working out. That was where I felt more comfortable. I never felt comfortable with sports. So even if you've never identified as someone who's really connected with their body, there's still a place for you in this.
Another thing, and I can speak to this because I live in a bigger body, which I have no issues with. That's just where my normal is right now. But I know sometimes I question exercise because I feel, oh, because I'm at a higher weight, it may not be as easy for me, or I may not be able to do something that someone who is than me can do. What kind of message can you give to someone like me that is dealing with that, or thinking, I don't know if I can do that because of my size?
The first thing is that we all have limitations. Um, I'm this personal trainer out there on the internet, and I have some serious limitations on the weight that I can lift because I have significant scoliosis. And some things that I should be able to do because I'm fit, I have written out of my programs because they just don't align with my goal, which is to be as fit as I can without having back pain. And as you well know, back pain is the worst. Um, and so I would say that that's the first thing, is like to everybody has to humble themselves when they come into the gym if they want to do this right. And there are going to be things you can and can't do just depending on who you are. Now, if you're in a bigger body, there are some like really simple kind of guidelines that I would start out with, which are like body weight exercises are often touted as being easier, and they are absolutely not. Even if you're like a smaller person, generally your body weight is much heavier than the dumbbell or the weight plates you put on a machine. Maybe start with some machines or with some dumbbells instead. Also, if you're working with a personal trainer, make sure that they're programming things that make you feel comfortable. If a trainer is asking you to do something and it hurts or feels uncomfortable, or you just don't like the way your boobs are bouncing when you do that HIIT exercise, they're on your payroll. You're not there to impress them. And even with my exercises, it is difficult when I'm trying to create workout programs that require no equipment, to limit the amount of jumps and getting on and off the floor. Things like that are hard to do once you eliminate the equipment. So investing in some equipment you like is a good option if you're working out from home. But also just feeling free to pause videos, to modify, to leave in the comments of any YouTuber, my videos or someone else's. Hey, like, this burpee doesn't work for me. I have double D boobs and a back problem. Like, what's the workaround here? Because you're not the only person.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that it's really about just being okay with your limitations, because you're not here to become superhuman.
Right. Right. I love that. So, Erika, I would love you to tell everyone a little bit more about where they can find you, how they can get involved with you, because you're just phenomenal. You're like one of my go-to people when I talk about like lifestyle management, because you've just always been so on point. So thank you for that. So I would love everyone to get to know you a little better. So tell them how.
Okay, so my website is PCOSpersonaltrainer.com. I would love for you to sign up for my newsletters there. I hang out a lot on YouTube, where you can find my free workouts and fun videos like me going through my Instacart order. And that is, again, you can find that on YouTube at the PCOS Personal Trainer. That's my handle there as well. On Instagram, I have the longest handle. I don't know what I was thinking. It's Erika, Erika Volk, VOLK _ PCOS Personal Trainer. And I do post a little bit on there, although you're never gonna see me doing a reel while I dance, because no one needs to see me dance. I keep my dancing to just my toddlers in my kitchen and living room. It's never going on Instagram. So, but I am there sharing information if that's where you like to get your information.
Thank you so much. And I will make sure that everybody gets the links and all the information in the post so they can reach out to you. I would love to hear a final word of encouragement or final thoughts or final takeaway for everyone from you.
The fitness industry has done a lot of us a big disservice. It is very hard to market sustainable habits. And so most of the fitness industry is propelled by these images of go big or go home. Work as hard as you possibly can. That kind of attitude, no pain, no gain. If that appeals to you, cool. If it doesn't, and you just kind of want to work out to be healthier and feel a little bit better about yourself and elevate your mood, that is where most of the world is. And so you don't need to feel weird or bad because you're not losing 2 pounds a week. You're not ready for the CrossFit games or any of that. Start where you are and focus on doing something you enjoy every single day. Move your body in a way that feels good every single day and let the results take care of themselves. And if you stick with it long enough, things will change. Your cardiometabolic future will change, and maybe your outside appearance will change. But let's make sure that we're placing the value where it belongs, in our hearts.
I love that message. Erika, thank you so much for spending some time with me today and clearing up all of the myths about exercise and putting us on the right track for better health and for stronger hearts. Have a wonderful day. Everyone, please stick with us for the Heart for PCOS through February at Heart for PCOS on all social media and at PCOS GURL, PCOS Girl. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Have a wonderful day.